My latest mystery pack is here, and it is the single most transparent mystery pack the hobby has ever seen. I've done a few of these mystery packs. We've iterated on each one, improved each one, and now I think that we have developed the absolute ultimate way to do a mystery pack, to do it the most fair and transparent way possible. You know, there's a lot of really cool things in this hobby right now. One of the things that somewhat bothers me is the true amount of mystery packs that we're seeing lately. And not just that, but the amount of mystery packs we see where people overrepresent comps, or they hype it up and, you know, there's issues with it, or they started at $1 and they say that the ceiling's $4,000 and it's really like $2,000. So there's a lot of things that I don't like, and I wanted to do the exact opposite. So I'm going to tell you every single hit that you can potentially hit in this mystery pack. So after this video is done, I'm going to be sealing these up in these little gold packs. But what I'm not going to be doing is I'm not going to be numbering them. The first thing we do on Wednesday, we are going to number all 100 together. They will be on camera throughout the course of the whole stream, so no funny business. You'll be able to see the packs, all 100 of them at all times on stream. We're going to number them together, and then we're going to randomize all 100 people, or if, you know, people buy multiple, whatever. We're going to randomize 100 names on a list via random.org, and then we're going to randomize all of the pack numbers, pack 1, pack 2, pack 3. That will assign a pack to the person. Then we're going to start at pack 1. We're going to go and rip all the way through to pack 100.
Repacks are evil. And you know what, guys? I'm going to fix them. Why not come out with the first completely fair to the consumer repack? Yep. And I think how you make repacks completely fair to the consumer is, first of all, the repacks are priced at the average comp of all of the cards combined. So it's literally at comps that you're selling, not 150% of comps, but you're selling the repacks at comps. Second of all, you have a checklist of every single card that's possible to get in those repacks, and you put that checklist inside every single box, maybe even with the comp of each card when you pack the boxes so everyone can see it. And third of all, you have some type of third-party certification that the cards are getting in the boxes and they're being randomized before they're given back to you. So you even take out the possibility of there being a missing card or a hit going to, you know, the wrong person or you know, whatever.
What's going on, YouTube? Run Good coming at you with a brand new video, and by a brand new video I mean I'm joining the circus with the rest of the clowns. That's right, if you didn't figure it out, all the influencers, clowns, and a couple of my friends in the hobby got on the repack hype train last week. Yes, that's right, C Blez, everybody's favorite in the hobby, C Blez, started the discussion about 7-10 days ago, and it only grew and grew and grew and grew, and I wasn't gonna be a part of it because I don't like react content. I think it's lazy. I think the people who do react content usually don't have the credentials to speak about the content they're reacting to. And then I saw a video by perhaps the biggest clown in the circus, Jeff Wilson from Sports Card Investor, claiming he was gonna fix repacks. And I'm pretty sure I put that video on YouTube on March 24th, 2022, explaining the most transparent repack that the hobby had ever seen. The most transparent format. And we've stuck with that ever since. We just ran one 3 weeks ago. But no, it was Jeff Wilson's idea last Thursday. And I said I had to do it. Just when I was out, they brought me back in. I hate recording this video. I would much rather be opening a box of Donruss and talking to you guys about what to expect and trying to hit downtowns, but I can't do that today. I gotta come on here. We gotta talk about repacks, which are all the rave in the hobby. Are they good value? Are they evil? Are all repacks awful? Is there a correct way to do them? We're gonna talk about it, and if this little area I'm in looks familiar to you, it's because this right here, this little area you might recognize, is where the repack discussion really started, and that really started on October 16th. So, hey, like I said, let's go ahead. First off, let's go ahead and talk about a timeline of events, because the timeline does not start with C Blez's video. The timeline actually starts on March 24th, 2022. But before we do that, let's talk about why I feel that I have the credentials to talk about this. Because like I said, with repack content, or with react content and repack content, like I said, I think that a lot of people just talk from a place of no authority. You know, they know very little. And react, man, that's gonna slip me up several times this video. React content is some of the easiest to create. It creates some of the most engaging content. The comment section is gonna be fun for this one. Here's my credentials. I've been collecting cards since 1992 or 93. My first cards were 1991 Fleer Baseball, the ugly yellow design. I have worked in the hobby professionally since 2012. I spent 8 years at ComC.com. The first 4 years at ComC, I was paid to know about trading cards. I was paid to learn about trading cards and know everything about trading cards as a subject matter expert, catalog expert. My final 4 years at ComC, I spent as a social media coordinator, marketing director, management, etc., etc. So, professionally been in the hobby for 10 years. I worked at a card shop in 2008 for a few months too. And then this is my 4th full-time year on YouTube. My 4th full-time year. And when I say full-time, I mean double full-time, because I am a full-time content creator. 4 long-form videos a week, many shorts, a lot of posts on Instagram, Twitter, etc. So full-time content creator, full-time breaker, live over 20 hours a week, every single week on this channel. I do all of my own shipping. I do a lot of it myself. I am very boots to the ground. I have a work ethic that I think is the reason why you are watching this video. I just think that, you know, very few people in this hobby outwork me. I set out to prove that every single week. I have really nothing to prove in the hobby, but I do it for myself. I do it for our amazing community here on YouTube. And yeah, so in regards to repacks, I put out about 4 repacks a year. I think I've put out 6 total since I introduced that mystery pack, the format that I'm going to talk about today, back in March of 2022. They account for about 1%, a little under 1% of my total hobby dealings every year. So a very, very small margin of my buying and selling of singles, my selling of group breaks, etc., etc. So that is my credentials. That's why I believe I have the credentials to speak on this subject. And like I said, we're going to start off this video with a timeline, a very fun timeline. So March 24th, 2022, I introduced the hobby to the most transparent repack format there is. The way that format went down is I showed you a full checklist as my customers bought into the mystery pack. I provided a full checklist including comps ahead of time. They could verify those against the current comp at the time. Full checklist, every single card, photos of, you know, all the cards as well. So you could have all the power. There was no secrets. There's no like, hey, we're not going to tell you what this card is, but here's a comp. Everything was out in the open. When we ran the repack, we sold everything out beforehand. All 120 packs in that mystery pack were sold beforehand. When we came live on stream, we hand numbered every single pack live. We randomized the packs against the people who purchased them. And then we opened all 120, so there could be no funny business. The top chaser, you know, not included, or, you know, everything was there. Everything was visible in full live video, so people could verify that all 120 cards in the packs were the same 120 cards on the spreadsheet. In my opinion, that was the most transparent, most fair repack that I ever offered. I provided comps, I ran it at comps, and that is how I've done my mystery packs ever since. So that is how I believe a mystery pack should be ran. Any other way, I think, leads itself to being keeping information from the public, hiding information, you know, 150% comp markup, whatever the case may be. And I'm no expert at these. Like I say, they account for about 1% of my hobby dealings every year. I run about 4 a year. I've already ran my 4 this year. We did an NBA mystery slab packs. We did a WWE mystery pack. We did an NFL color blast chase. And we just did an NBA tip-off pack where we gave away a Kobe auto and a 101 impeccable Curry auto. Immaculate Curry auto. Yeah, 101 immaculate white box. Anyways, so that was here the timeline. March 24th, I introduced the hobby to this. June 2022. Here's a fun one. I had to dig this clip up. I'm going to play it right now.
Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Why you gotta say it so loud?
Give me this, bro. Don't open that. That's a waste of money. Dude, this is a much better value. Daps racks, man. This is what you should be ripping. You get way better value on that. Come on, don't rip that. Watch, open. Let me show you. I'll show you right now.
Oh, Quanticles! Wait, but
What?
$4 pack, okay.
And there's more stuff in there. Relax yourself. You might get
Not
something.
even a quarterback!
You know what? There's more in there. There's probably like a good slab or two.
A good slab or two.
Yeah. Come on.
Okay, a PSA Herbert.
Yeah,
It's cool, Herbert, a PSA 8.
Yeah, well, you know, there might be something else in there. Come on, these daps racks are good.
Oh, I told you, look! Oh!
What is that? What does that say? Gem Mint what? Gem Mint what?
Not 1, not 2, not 8, not 9, but 10.
Remember, Whatnot Wednesdays, Dap Sports on the Whatnot app, 6 p.m. tonight. Do not miss it, guys.
In June 2022, Sports Card Investor was featured in a video with Daps promoting their mystery packs on their Whatnot Wednesdays. I reposted this video. I shared some thoughts on Daps, and I shared some thoughts on Sports Card Investor. Sports Card Investor, aka Jeff Wilson, replied to me, and then I replied back. At the time, I told him that I had already came up with the most transparent mystery pack ever offered, and that was that. We went about our ways. Flash forward, October 16th, 2023. Dan the Cardman, a great channel here on YouTube, a React creator, and kind of a watchdog channel, if you will, of the hobby. He goes and exposes Justin Gamble, who's, you might remember all this behind me, for running one of the worst mystery packs the hobby had ever seen. I know very little about it. I know Justin through my friend Hitman Rips. I have very little interactions with Justin Gamble. I've had very little interactions with Cblez. Dan the Cardman I speak to every once in a while. So Dan does this video on Justin, and that, in my opinion, sparked the conversation about what the ethics of repacks were. And then, there was blowback, and Justin left the trading card hobby, and then he came back, and I don't know what's going on there. But that is where the conversation, I think, really got started back on October 16th with Dan the Cardman. So, flash forward to about 10 days ago. Cblez on Instagram drops a video, and he basically talks about why repacks are bad.
A lot of the people that you used to think are big breakers, they're actually not anymore. They're turning into repack companies. It hurts the card shows because they're paying the strongest percentage. A lot of the repackers pay 80, 90, even 95%. And me, a person who just wants to go out there and buy some singles at 80, 85%, the dealers won't sell it to me because the repackers are paying a high number. It hurts the end consumer because when the repacks pay 95%, what do they need to charge now to make money themselves? They're putting it into a product at 140, 150% of the comp.
He says that all the repackers are coming to card shows paying 90 to 95% or more of comps, and if they're paying that, then what are they putting them in their mystery packs at? And what they're doing is they're creating an unfair playing field for the average collector who wants to come in and pay 80% comps, which is kind of what you expect at shows. So he drops that video, and when he dropped that video, it sparked a whole discussion. He dropped that video, and you know what I thought? Oh, the Blez repack is coming. And again, I talk to S-Blez. I'm cool with S-Blez. Me and him talk more than I talk with Jared. I very rarely have talked to C-Blez, actually. But I had no prior knowledge of their repack coming. I just knew their repack was coming when I saw that video. And sure enough, 2 days later, as the hobby had started to go crazy, talking about the ethics of repacks, whether they're good, whether they're bad, and we're going to get into a little bit of that, because if this whole conversation is familiar to you, I want to get you caught up on a little bit of the discussion. There's been just ample discussion by just everybody. Everybody is talking about this. But S-Blez drops a video. Scott Blez, who is C-Blez's brother, drops a video. 2 days later, he says,
I hate repacks. It turns out there's only one repack in the entire industry that I like, and it's the one that we create.
He hates repacks, but the only repack that he likes is the one that they make. And oh my gosh, say what you will about Blez, but I died laughing. Some people hate him, some people love him. whatever. Some people are neutral. I died laughing because wouldn't anybody who creates a repack think that theirs is the best, right? Man. So we see that video. They run the repack on Friday. They're actually running it literally right now as I'm recording this video on Friday evening. An hour ago, I was just shipping out our breaks. An hour from now, I'm going to be editing and doing the thumbnail for this video. So a lot going on in between. And then, so finally, okay, so finally, last Thursday, which is yesterday, but I'm, again, recording this on Friday with a Monday upload. Sports Card Investor drops a video, and he says he's going to fix repacks, and here's how. He says it's going to have a full checklist. He says it's going to be sold at comps, and he says there's going to be third-party verification. Literally, it's my format. Literally, it's my format. Jeff, I told you this format back in June. So, here I am, a part of the react content to repacks, and there's just been a whole lot of discussion whether or not they're good, whether or not they're bad, whether they're evil. So let's talk about some of the scenarios, some of the things that are said about repacks. So I think the big conversation right now is that repacks, the people who think repacks are good think that they are good because they can provide more value than the cost of product right now. And we've talked about it at this on this channel at length. The cost of sealed wax right now is not properly scaling with the singles market. I think the high-end stuff is still way up there, and I think there is, in my opinion, the mid-range and the low-range has really gotten muddled. I think that people don't respect short prints. People don't respect case hits anymore just because they think that so many of them are being printed. Basically, if a card does not have a serial number on it with a low number, you know, to 10 to 25, people just don't respect how rare those cards are going to be. And I think in due time, you're going to find out, and I think I talked about this in my Let's Talk video about 2023 football products. Go ahead and try and find a Bijan Vanta in 4 years from now. You know, there's 40 or midnight or night moves or whatever that case is. White Knight, that White Knight case hit from Black. I said they made 40 of them. They don't make a ton of that product. Even though those cards are not serial numbered, go and try and find one of those of the player you want in 4 years, and I think you're going to be very surprised by the comp. So right now, a lot of in the hobby is being disrespected unless it has a serial number to 5 or to 25. Just what has happened is the mid-range and the low-range have kind of gotten together, kind of been crushed together, while the high-end continues to soar higher and higher. And that has created an imbalance in the hobby because it is, again, very, very tough. We open a lot of product in our breaks. It's very tough to hit those monster $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 cards. They don't come along very often. And that has created a separation in the hobby between the price of wax and the price of singles because everybody wants those, either the high-end cards or the low-numbered serial number cards. The assumption is, you know, the print runs are up, which means, you know, hey, maybe of the unnumbered Chet Holmgren cards in the world, and Chet's a bad example because he's on fire, but of all the unnumbered, let's say, who's a mid-range rookie in this class? Let's say Jabari Smith Jr. Of all the Jabari Smith Jr. non-numbered autos, there's a bazillion of them, so they're only worth $30. They're only worth $40, whatever the case may be. So right now, wax is not scaling with the price of singles, which means that the value proposition, you buy a box, and I say it a lot, the average box is probably going to yield about 25% back or so. Some are going to be worse, some are going to be higher. You're going to hit a ceiling card every once in a while. But the repackers are saying, well, if you're willing to buy a box from Panini and only get 25% back, just buy my repack. I'm giving 50% back. And it's one of those scenarios where, in my opinion, two wrongs don't make a right. Not everybody can make a repack. Not everybody can make great react content. Not everybody's a good breaker. Not everybody can sell singles. Not everybody's a graphic designer, so on and so forth. But there are a lot of people in the repack space who think they are great repackers, and they're not. They're not. So I think we talk a lot. Another thing that is talked about a lot in repacks is you know, comps, what they should be priced out at. You know, the person doing it obviously is doing it with the intent of making money. And I think that, I think in anything, right? You go to your job. Why do you go to your job? You want to make money. If you're putting together a repack, you have a motive. What is your motive? And for most people who are making that repack, it's, to make some money. Maybe it's to sell some cards. Maybe somebody is just super heavy in cards and they want to do a repack, and maybe they have the community to support it like I do. Maybe they don't. So there's a lot of motives in play. There's a lot of why would you do it kind of thing. But right now the conversation is, well, if Panini is going to give you a box with 25%, I'm going to give you a box with 50%. So I'm better. And once again, I think that two wrongs don't make a right. I do think that there is a correct way to make a repack. I do think it has to have transparency. You have to have a checklist. I believe that all packs should be opened live. And I do believe that you should go according to comps. Now, well, if I'm buying cards at comps, how do I make money on a repack, you ask? That's where the expertise comes in, my friends. That's where the expertise comes in. That's where something nobody is talking about comes in. Everybody is so hung up on this idea that everything in the hobby is perfect, and that everybody buys cards at 80 to 95% comps. Do you guys forget about a little thing called a steal? This is what makes the experts in the hobby, the people who have been here for a long time, or the people who have really done their work. Maybe they've only been here since the pandemic, since 2020, but they've put in the work, and they've learned the hobby. I know people who have only been in the hobby for 3 or 4 years, and they have put in the work. They've put in the work. And there's other people who haven't put in the work. So here's the thing. Like I said, I worked at ComC for 8 years. My first 4 years, I was essentially paid to know trading cards. I was paid to learn trading cards as the products came out. I've probably forgotten more about trading cards than most people ever know. And I don't, maybe that sounds egotistical. It's just a matter of fact. I can look at a card and I can often put a pretty damn close pinpoint range on that card in terms of value, in terms of rarity. I've seen cards, vintage cards, modern cards. I've seen German cigarette cards, and oh my gosh, I've cataloged some of the most obscure cards you've ever seen on ComC. I have seen everything. I've seen everything in this hobby. I've been here for 30 years. I'm a dinosaur. I've seen everything. And I am willing to bet that if you put me in a trading card show, if you put me on a showroom floor with 100 other people, you give us each $1,000, you take away our phones and our ability to look up comps, I'm going to beat 96, 97 other people of those 100 people. And when my $1,000 is spent, I'm going to have more in value. If you want to comp all those cards, that's what I believe, because that is why I think I am who I am in the hobby. That's why I am good at buying and selling cards, because I don't need a phone in front of me. I don't need to know the last comp. I know how to do things in the hobby that most people who have been here that buy cards don't even think about. Oh, you don't have a comp on the Immaculate RPA. Oh, but you have a comp on the National Treasures RPA and the Impeccable RPA, and you know that Immaculate falls in between those two products. You can't tell me you don't extrapolate and figure out what a comp should be. A lot of people just don't do that. A lot of people need comps. They need 130point.com. They need eBay completed sales. They need to look at gold and sold to see what a card is worth. Most of the time when I buy cards, I don't even look up comps. Sometimes, when I do, but most of the time when I'm buying on ComC, I don't even cross-reference eBay. That looks about right, and sure enough, it's usually right. So, in doing repacks, one of the things that has not been discussed is, hey, there are just some people out there who are better at buying cards than others. I think that those people are the people that should be running repacks. Now, I've been talking about this for a long time, so I'm gonna move on. There was some other topics I want to get to, and I don't want to make this video too long. There's been the topic of, are repacks ethical? Are they ethical? Are they a net good or a net bad for the hobby? Are they a net positive? Are they a net negative for the hobby? I'm kind of indifferent on them. Like I said, they account for about 1% of my total business each year in the hobby. When I do them, they end up being a labor of love. For me personally, they serve as a vehicle to sell some of the nicer cards that you have seen me pull throughout the course of, whatever period it is. If we're doing a basketball mystery pack from all my basketball videos, I usually just, set those ones aside, and eventually we do something with them. Usually most of my cards I just send to comc.com anyways. So they serve as a vehicle to sell some of the nicer cards. I do some buying, if we hit a nice card in the break, somebody asks, hey, do you want to buy that card? Always make a deal on somebody, especially if it's a hot player or a hot rookie or a really good looking card. And then, you know how it goes. In the hobby, you transact, you buy a card, you like it, it's a PC card, and then you fall out of love with it. and still a nice card that, you know, you could put in a mystery pack. So when I put together a mystery pack, that's normally the basis. I usually get bothered, hey, when are you gonna do a mystery pack? Run good. RGL, when's the next mystery pack? What's it gonna be? That's usually how they form. I spend a lot of time on them. I comp everything out. Most of the time, I actually either at best it's a break even. Maybe I make a few percent, but I can assure you, I put all of my information out there. Anytime I do one, full checklist, I give you comps. Very easy to see that I'm probably not even making 20%. Because if I'm making 20%, that means that I would have had to buy all the cards at 80% or less. And a lot of the cards are very liquid, very nice. They're top players. Whenever I do a mystery pack, even the floor cards are players who are desirable or players with a lot of upside. I'm not putting Glenn Rice autos in there. I'm not putting Bull in there anymore. 2022. But anyways, the conversation, the final piece I wanted to talk about in this video, whether or not I believe that repacks are a net negative or a net positive, I'm kind of neutral on it. I think when done right, they're a net positive. Most of the time, I would say 2/3 of the time, they're probably a net negative. But overall, I do think that the people who put them together with the intent of providing something cool for their community or providing value or doing it right, there is a combination of things there that when done right, a mystery pack, a repack, whatever you want to call it, can be good. It just has to have those 3 core principles that I've been talking about, where everything's out in the open, the full checklist is provided at the time of purchase for your customers. You gotta go based off comps, and then everything has to be open live. I know that's one that has not been discussed. Everything has to be opened live. You can't ship them to people, because then it could lead itself to, hey, the top chaser, who hit the top chaser? Oh, I don't know. Top chaser was probably hit. They didn't come forward, you know. Then it leads to speculation that you didn't put in the cards that you said were there. So Jeff talked a little bit in his video about third-party authentication. The best authentication is to simply open everything live. So everything that are in the packs can be verified against the checklist. And that, my friends, is the most important thing, is a checklist. It's comps. Like I said, there's a lot of people putting together mystery packs, putting together repacks right now in the hobby that just aren't qualified to do it. There's a lot of people speaking about repacks in the last week, and I haven't heard your guys' credentials. Why are you qualified to speak about repacks? Because at the start of the video, it was very important for me. I'm holding a box here. I don't know why. At the start of the video, it was very important for me to share my credentials and why I believe that I am somebody who is not necessarily an expert. Because again, I only do 4 of these a year. I don't think I'm an expert. I think that I've seen enough of these, and I just feel like I'm going to show you guys how I really feel. And I was thinking about not saying this. A lot of the things in the hobby, a lot of these React content creators, what they end up talking about is just common sense. If they just use common sense, it wouldn't be a thing in the hobby. And I thought about whether or not I wanted to use this reference, and I absolutely do, because this one simply comes down to common sense, and it reminds me of the scene in Good Will Hunting.
Do you know how easy this is for me? Do you have any fucking idea how easy this is? This is a fucking joke. And I'm sorry you can't do this. I really am, because I wouldn't have to fucking sit here and watch you fumble around and it up.
Where Matt Damon says, do you have any idea how easy this is? This is a joke. And that is exactly how I feel. That when done right, oh my gosh, it's so easy. Just make everything transparent. Listen, if you make things transparent, I believe CM Punk literally said this on Monday Night Raw last week, as long as you speak the truth and it comes from the heart, that's all you gotta do. You just gotta speak the truth, and this is the truth. As long as your mystery pack is transparent, it's probably fine. If you've got things to hide, if you didn't get in good on the cards that you are putting in your mystery pack, if you can't comp them out and make money on the mystery pack, it's not a good mystery pack. So take your L and move on to the next one. Learn. If you want to keep doing them, if you want to get good at them, just get good at them. Just get good at buying cards. If you want to make a mystery pack and you want to make money doing it, just get good at doing it. Just get good at buying cards and do things transparently and do things fairly and don't try to rip people off. It's that simple. That's common sense. It's common sense. And that's all my time. I didn't want to make this one too long. I went over my projected time by a few minutes, but that's okay. That is my take. This is my React video for, God, I hope the rest of the year. Because, again, not a React creator. I don't like doing this. I think this is lazy content to turn on a camera and just start talking. At least I did a little research this time around before I just started yapping. That is going to do it from me. Leave me a comment. Can't wait to see what the comment section looks like for this one. What do you think about Repacks comment section? That's going to do it for me. Take care. Stay safe. We'll catch you next time on Down the Road. One take, by the way. One take. See ya.